Strick and Motyl, talking toys. This is our podcast, we are making noise. So gather round, all you girls and boys. We're Strick and Motyl, we are talking toys.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Toy Talk Guys podcast. I'm Strick.
And I'm Motyl.
We're here to bring you everything happening in the world of toys. We're talking action figures, Lego, video games, and anything else that catches our eye. On today's podcast, we've got some quick mentions to go through, of course, and then our meatier discussion topics. We've got some Mattel on the list, some Lego, some Mezco, and some Hasbro, man. Just a nice rounded cast there. We'll talk collection updates. Motyl, how we doing, my friend? How you doing in this fine April?
Yeah, man. I'm going to try to put a good vibe out there. Happy to be talking to you and breaking down, what went on this past month and change in the world of toys. So let's get started, man.
Let's do it. Let's kick it off. What do you got for us first?
All right, so we get some quick mentions. Boy, we were kind of both wrong when we had guessed what the next item that NACELLE was going to tackle.
You said we were both incorrect.
You guessed Warriors of Virtue.
That's it.
And then I guessed Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. So we were both off. The next line of toys that they're putting out has to do with Cowboys of Mesa. Do you remember this, Strick?
No, I don't.
I'm not going to go too heavy into it, but it was just like another line of, like, from the 90s, like an anthropomorphic, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type deal, except it's like steers, cows in the Wild West, but they're like humanoids. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm picking it up, man.
All right.
I'm liking it.
I'll be honest with you. I collected the toys back in the day, but I did not follow the cartoon, or I think there were comic books as well. I basically just collected the toys, and that was kind of where I was at. In addition to these figures, I also had shampoo bottles that I had in the bathtub that were shaped as these characters. So there's that. Did you have anything like that?
As soon as you, that was not in my brain at all. And as soon as you mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally remember those shampoo bottles with every character's head. And I would always want that. I would just be like, oh, I'd see it at the store. I'd be like, oh, can we get that one? I don't even remember the characters that they'd have, but I was just like, yes, I so want that. And my parents were like, no, that's not real shampoo. You're not going to get clean with that.
I was always thinking the other way. I was like, oh man, it's almost a toy, but
yeah,
not really.
I mean, that was the appeal. It's my oldest does this now when we go to the grocery store. They have those sippy apple juice cups with the characters' faces on them. Yep. Every time we're he's like, I'm like, who do you want? And it's just they got Spider-Man, they got whoever, and it's always a fun grabbing your favorite character of the day and sipping that $6 juice. It's got that sweet character hit on it.
So apparently, I think that they are also resurfacing the cartoon and picking up where the original series left off. So that's pretty cool. And then there isn't too many images right now as of this recording of the new toys that NACELLE's putting out. But there was one, and it looks pretty good. That's not what I linked to. I linked to the vintage figures for anybody that's following along. I just thought maybe if you'd looked at those figures, might jog your memory. Maybe you had seen them somewhere before, Strick.
They look vaguely familiar. When I saw them, I was like, this looks like something from back in the day, but I can't pinpoint seeing any of these characters at any point in time in my life. They are cool looking.
It's just another exciting step in the NACELLE journey of where they're going, what they could potentially do in the future. They just keep picking up these rando lines from the 90s. They're just breathing life into them. So I'm excited to see where it goes, just like the rest of their toy licenses. So pretty cool to see this. What do you got going on?
April Fools, dude. Let's talk April Fools for a second. I wrote in the script, can we stop, please? Because I feel like we talked about in this cast a couple times. Every April Fools that rolls around, you and I are just a little tired of not the April Fools. It's a good holiday. It's, it's fun to play a prank or two and, just always reminds me, it's April 1st again,
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Well, this is a good reminder. I'm actually running low on whoopee cushions and fake duty.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's always a good time to restock and all that stuff on your on your full Z materials. But I don't know. I feel like it was like not that long ago, less than 10 years ago. The train of just companies, especially product companies, just like, we got to get a big April Fool's joke out there to, throw everybody off. And Lego just loves this for whatever reason. They just keep upping the ante every year. And I know it's not just them, but it's basically the whole day of April 1st. People are like, well, I might as well not read the news because everything is a joke, and it's really frustrating to weed through. Not that I was thrown by this, but it was more, why did they do this? They spent so much time and effort into this April Fool's prank. So what we're looking at here for Lego is a supersized Tim the Minion from Minions. I don't really know Minions at all, but he's just like the taller Minion, and it's gigantic. It's probably like, I think it's 6 foot high or something. This Lego set that you can apparently buy, that they put out there, and it just has a whole marketing page dedicated to it. Like teams of people worked on like a video that they made about it, several marketing press shots, and just a ton of information, and all for an April Fool's joke. I'm like, what kind of budgets are you blowing over there? Wasting people's time with this, like, I don't know if anybody found this like, oh, I love that. Like, I'm so glad they did that. I'm so glad they made that like silly joke. I'm pretty sure I know how you stand on this, but just to clarify, are you an April Fool's hater or lover when it comes to this context?
This kind of context, no, I don't really enjoy it. Wouldn't you serve the company better by like working on actual products, like not wasting time and money to accomplish this?
Yeah, there's that, and it's also like, this is just, stop it. Like, just cut it out. Nobody, I mean, I know I do not appreciate it, and I imagine most of the community is just like, and here they come. Here come all the April Fool's jokes. Here we go. All right, haha, very funny.
It's just crazy that they like even go down to like, oh yeah, a forklift is recommended and it's not included.
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Just the amount of, yeah.
Come on, man.
Just the amount of money that was spent on, just graphic design and all that stuff, and the video. I mean, it's like a full-length, like, product feature video. I'm like, you don't even do that for most of your sets that you release, but you're doing it for this stupid joke. It's not fun. It's just annoying at this point. So we'll see. We'll see what another year does for them, and if they up the ante even more, or they kind of chill out with this stuff. My guess is they keep up in the ante on this.
Well, here you go, Lego. You wanted it. Here you go.
Green sharks! They fight! They kick some serious men! Each sold separately, new from Mattel! Jawsome!
Alright, dude. You want to hear something totally jawsome?
Let's hear it.
Dude! Those street sharks are back. They're back, baby. They are gracing Walmart halls once again.
Dude.
Mattel, man, they are just reinventing the old vintage figures, and they are bringing them back. It's crazy to see. I gotta be honest with you, it's not shocking from like the fandom itself, where it's just like people have like always been like, oh man, like Street Sharks was awesome. Remember Street Sharks? It's like the fandom was there, so I can't believe it's taken them this long to get around to doing something like this. So what we've got here. Street Sharks from the 90s getting revamped, better articulation, I guess better paint deco. They look very similar. I really kind of want to get one in hand to see. They're just like upgraded figures from the 90s that Mattel's putting out. So what they started with, 2 of the Street Sharks and 1 of the villains that are up for pre-order right now at around the $25-$30 mark. We have Jab, the Hammerhead Shark, Ripster, who is the leader of the Street Sharks, and then also Slash, I believe his name is.
Yeah, Slash.
I actually, as a kid, I had the Slash figure and the Jab figure, so these are very close, and from afar they look identical, but when you get up close to them, they did add a lot of articulation on these guys, which they were sorely lacking in the vintage line. So that's nice to see.
I wasn't a big Street Sharks fan. Shocker.
Yeah, but you knew it existed.
Oh yeah. And like I'm pretty sure either one of my friends had Jab, the Hammerhead, or I might even have had him. He's just like that figure is so familiar to me.
Gotcha.
But I feel like I don't know if I ever watched it, but I feel like I'd like it. I like TMNT. I probably would have been into it.
Well, I'll let you borrow my 3 VHS tapes that they released.
Nice. I'm also going to have to borrow that VHS player, if you don't mind.
I'm pretty pumped for this. It's interesting because I think we definitely had these on the cast before. I don't know how far back, but I think it was several years ago, Mattel actually put out figures based on concept art of Street Sharks, and there was so much rumble in the community. It was like, what? Like Mattel is doing Street Sharks stuff again? And they put out like stuff based on concept art, so it was kind of weird, but at the same time, people were kind of like clamoring for it a little bit. So I'm wondering if like that was like the whole, let's see how much market interest there is in the property. And I guess the community stepped up and proved like, hey, we want Street Sharks, and here they went full on, and they're giving us what appears to be a full line of Street Sharks, because it looks like they're also have the other guys slated to round out the team and faction of villain figures.
Nice.
It's pretty cool to see. Mattel is not a stranger to this idea, because they released Masters of the Universe Origins figures, which is kind of the same idea where they remastered the vintage figures and just gave them like way better articulation, and they just made them look, super new, clean, and crisp, as opposed to like vintage ones. So these are nice alternatives to vintage ones. It's exciting for me because I'm not a Street Sharks collector. Like, I just like the property. I had them as a kid, so I'm getting like nostalgia for this stuff right now. But I started thinking about like, well, what does this do for like resale value for older stuff? I'm wondering how that's going to affect the market with this new stuff, because this new stuff's obviously better.
When they do stuff like, is this like the golden ticket? Like, yes, just do this for every line that I ever wanted as a kid. Like, just remake the figures, make them a little better, but like they look the same, update the box art, and like just make it better, but what it was. Is that like they nailed it?
It's hard to say, because it's like I've invested time and money into my collection, so it's hard to say, like, especially with rare pieces, if you're just gonna like go ahead and print rare figures or something that's gonna like, I don't know, do some crazy stuff to the market, then that's, I don't know. See, that's kind of where I was going with it, where it's like, I'm wondering what this does for vintage collectors. I think I might be addressing your question. For me personally, for lines, if companies were to bring back lines and start reprinting figures, the master stroke plan there would be to, yes, do like core figures in the line and redo them and make them great, upgrade, but make figures that were possibly slated to be produced, or complete a team or something like that, like from a cartoon or a movie or something, and like they just never got to it. That would be incredible. That to me is like the ultimate goal. I just wonder like how people who are just like, oh, I am all about Street Sharks, like that is me, that is how I identify myself, and they have like a complete full run of the vintage stuff. I'm just wondering how they feel about this, because they're reprinting these figures and they're making them better, in my opinion.
I feel like if you're that into it, you're like, okay, well, I got my vintage collection over here, and then here's the new stuff, and it can sit side by side, and I could appreciate both for what they are. I think where it hits the market is like those casual fans of Street Sharks that are like, I just kind of either want a figure just because I like the show so much, but I don't want to spend the money of what what it is on eBay, or I have a kid now, and they love I like Street Sharks, and I just want to see him playing with Street Sharks, kind of thing. I could see it hitting that a little bit, like where Ripster, in the aftermarket is probably pretty expensive. It seems like he's sold out here on Walmart already, which is not surprising. But like for $25, it's like, cool, I'll just get the new Ripster and not have to worry about the vintage one and the quality and all that stuff. And oh, it's better too. That's even icing on the cake. So I imagine it depreciates the value of some of that older stuff.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, man. I from my perspective, it's like, this is the way to do it. If you're gonna bring a nostalgia based thing back, it's like, give people the shapes and everything that we want. I like your idea. I think we actually talked about that with Bucky O'Hare a little bit because they did that. Yeah, where they're like, here's a character that's like essential to the crew, but you never got as a kid, and that just adds to like the appeal of the line. Yeah, I think that's the recipe, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's an exciting time for millennials, I guess. That seems to be the only thing that's the only people that are keeping Mattel and Hasbro in business right now. the nostalgia vibes. That's what they're it's the market they're playing to.
All right, Motyl, get your mushrooms ready, your blue shells, because we're talking Super Mario Kart, man. Specifically, the ultimate mashup, or what could have been the ultimate mashup, Lego Super Mario Kart. Lego Super Mario Kart. That's what we're talking here. I feel like we've talked about this on the cast before of like, what should Nintendo and Lego do together? And we both came to the conclusion, like, Mario Kart is a clear, just cash cow moneymaker. So they announced on Mario Day, this is a little old, Mario Day, March 10th, they announced that in 2025, so a whole year out, we're going to be getting some Mario Kart-based sets in Lego. Motyl, give me your just blank reaction on this one.
Ready, set, build, man. That's I don't know. I mean, what else can be said that hasn't already been said about the Mario stuff that they're doing? The 18-second video, it just shows, the Mario that you don't want to see, and then the race car.
Yeah.
So I'm to assume that they're doing it in that style, which is disappointing because they're just going deeper and deeper into this Mario hole that we don't want. So it's discouraging.
So you nailed it. So nothing's been confirmed. Like from what I've read, it's just like a lot of like people like, well, clearly it's, just the blocky Mario. I think people call them, there's like a name for them, block figs or something like that. But other people are like, well, the silhouette they show of the car like looks too small for that figure to fit, and like people are just like wishing and hoping like, no, like, we saw the light with Animal Crossing, and they're doing minifigs now, so this could be minifigs, and just because they showed that Mario doesn't mean anything. But dude, like, if they bungle this, like, one side of me will be like, thank God, because I don't feel like they need to buy any of this stuff. But like, how do you mess that up so badly? Like, it's either they're just like completely ignoring their they are completely ignoring their customer base, but for the reasons either like we're just too invested in this and like we spent way too much money and we got to see this like at this point like a 5-year roadmap just out, like, sorry, we just have to see this out. We spent way too much on this technology at the out front. But man, like, the community is just like hating on this stuff so badly. I can't imagine like anybody within that group is like, we're nailing it, we're doing it. Like, I would be, if that was my job, I'd be like, this sucks. Like, this is awful that I have to just put out stuff that I know the whole community is just going to hate on. It's got to be so discouraging to be working in that group.
How's the resale market on this stuff? Is there like no value at all?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's horrible. It's horrible. Like, it's even worse than I predicted. It's like, you can't give this stuff away. Like, nobody wants it. Yeah, it's like insane because it's like it's Mario and Lego together, and you're like, that should be a match made in heaven. And man, it's just so unfortunate. I thought this could have been the chance. When I first saw it, I was just like, all right, they're gonna do it right, and they're gonna make it minifigs, and it's not looking that way.
So far, Connects has done better.
Yeah, dude, like, for real. Yeah, I would rather play with the Connects figs than the block figs. That is for sure. Yeah, man, not too much to say here because they really just like teased that one little bit, but just again, just the disappointment getting layered on here. There is like a spark of hope. There's rumors of a Zelda set that's going to come out, like a Deku Tree set that's going to have regular minifigs. And I feel like there was another one in there. Well, there's like the whole Animal Crossing line that is regular minifigs. So they are dipping their toe, which is encouraging to see. And that stuff is selling like really well from my understanding, like the Animal Crossing stuff, which is not their hottest property, but it's selling way better than the Mario stuff. So hopefully at some point like someone has to step in and be like, yo guys, like quit messing around. Like we want to make some money here and nobody likes this stuff. Like it's time to turn on the juice. Like let's do it. And I thought this could be it. Maybe. They haven't shown too much, so they still have that chance to see the reactions and be like, all right, guys, either we continue to bungle this thing or let's get smart and take the 6 months it's going to take and make a Mario molded figure. It's already got to be in the pipeline. Like, there's no way they've just, I don't know, like they've just completely, it's mind-boggling to me that they've messed this up so bad.
Well, I don't want to, be all negative about this segment. So why don't we talk about, just for a little bit, our Mario Kart 64 experiences? I'd really like to know, is Mario Kart 64 your preferred Mario Kart?
I like it. I don't think it is.
Okay, is Super Mario Kart your preferred Mario Kart?
Oh, very far from. No, I really don't like the original. I'm not a big fan of that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too current, but I wanted to ask for at least Mario Kart 64 because that's the one that I definitely played the most. I have the most hours logged in that game, as far as Mario Kart goes. So, what is your favorite item to use in that game?
Ooh, I gotta rack my brain with what was in that game and not in that game. Well, the most satisfying thing I think to get somebody with was the fake question block. When you just like nail somebody with that, you're just like, yeah, you fell right into my trap. Like just trying to get tricky with it by leaving it with all the other blocks and just like
right.
somebody's gonna get tripped up by that.
Yeah,
boy.
The person gets tripped up and they're just like, I don't even know what happened.
I was never a big fan. Like obviously when you're in last and you're like, all right, I get the lightning or I get whatever, and it's gonna boost me into a better spot. That always feels good. But I always loved the triple red shell.
Okay.
That was always my jam, the triple. Whenever you got that, you're like, nobody's touching me for a while. Like,
for a while.
I'm good. I'm set up here. Anybody passes me, they're toast at least 3 times.
I feel you.
How about you?
Yeah, let me hit you with this, and you're probably going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to hit you with the banana bushel.
How did I know you were going to say that?
That's such a good one, dude.
I love the I feel like it had a different sound when you had the full banana bushel behind you and somebody hit it and it was just like, and like it just made like this super like that wasn't supposed to happen kind of sound.
Yeah, I mean you were definitely, you had protection too. You just let those things drag behind you and you could take like 4 or 5 hits or whatever it was and not be affected. But yeah, that was always exciting to get. You know which ones I hated to get?
Let's hear it.
The mushroom.
Yeah, the golden mushroom.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Dude, where you feel like you're going in slow motion, going fast. You're like, this doesn't even feel like an advantage.
Yeah, well, if you're not on like the first level and it requires you to turn, it's like there's no point.
Yeah, that thing is garbage. That thing was hot garbage. The blue shell in that game wasn't that good in 64. Like it worked sometimes. In later iterations. So you asked like what would the one I'd go back to? I'd probably go back to the Wii. Like me and my wife played that for a long time, and it was one where like you could take it to the next level serious, and you could be like, I'm gonna take every edge with the perfect drift and everything like that. Like you could play that way, or you could play very casually with the little Wii remote and the steering wheel adapter. And you could hand it to anybody. Like you could hand it to a kid and he's like, moving it back and forth. So I just feel like it opened it up to like even a broader audience than it already had.
I know, you forced that on us in college.
Oh yeah, and you guys didn't like it.
No, I did not like it at all.
Yeah. The regular controls did suffer in that game. I will give it that. Like if for more hardcore fans, I don't think that was the one, but I had to have the most memories of just playing that one and just the competition with me and my wife and really liking it. And the blue shell in that game is like, you don't miss. Like that's probably the most frustrating part of the game is just like, I'm in first and like just counting the seconds until I get blue shelled to death. And like the strategy in that game is actually just like hang in second as long as you can, because you're like, there's guaranteed to be a blue shell, random blue shell in the game. So like we would have that strategy where like we would be in first and second, and like one of us is just kind of hanging back a bit because we don't want to get blue shelled. Yeah, man. I don't think they've really. I guess they put out Mario 8, which was different with the gravity stuff, and then they just did Deluxe. So, and like I haven't really followed the DS, any of that stuff. Those games are definitely lesser, I think, in comparison.
Well,
anyway,
I am definitely excited to see what is actually going to be revealed here.
Dude, I don't know when we're gonna get it, but yeah, we'll talk about it when it comes out. I'm sure it's gonna be pretty disappointing.
Oh yeah.
Yahoo! It's showtime! Hey, annoying hombres making you do stuff you hate? Don't lose your head. Make them history. Think that's scary? Watch this! Whoa! That went right through me.
Did you see that?
Now watch this. First, a double team. Now, a double scare. Nobody beats me. So when you want to scare somebody, give me a call.
Beetlejuice! 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 Gotta go.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Not again.
Beetlejuice. Oh. I guess we got to talk about him for about 6 or 7 minutes.
Let's do it.
This is an exciting time, I guess, if you're a Beetlejuice fan. What I have here on the cast is the 15-inch scale talking figure being put out by Mezco. Now, to be completely clear, this appears to be a reissue, so it was put out a couple years back, but I can't confirm or deny. I think it didn't have a talking feature. Now it does have a talking feature. I could be totally wrong on that, but so Mezco, you know, they're like a boutique label. They do some good stuff. Is it a perfect likeness of Beetlejuice that they're putting out? No, not really. It's like a fun cartoony version. I mean, the Michael Keaton elements are there, but it's a fun figure nonetheless. And where Mezco really shines is their soft goods. So the suit that he's wearing is really cool. The boots that he has are really cool. I appreciate that kind of stuff. I'm not really expecting you to be like super stoked about this. It's kind of a hum-ho affair, because really what I would like to get on the cast is the sequel's coming out, man. Beetlejuice, dude. The sequel, after how many years? That is finally coming out in 2024. Crazy times that we're living in right now. Let me just get your quick stance on where you are with Beetlejuice as a whole. I mean, you can talk about this product, but where are you at with Beetlejuice as a whole?
I don't think I've ever seen the full movie original. Yeah, I know. That's every movie from when we were a kid that was geared towards adults. Like I didn't catch any of that stuff. I'm behind there, and I heard, maybe you told me that they were coming out with a show at one point. You gotta catch me up on that. Like I think it's Michael Keaton reprising the role.
Yeah, and Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara. They're all going to be in it.
So it's a continuation?
Yes,
of sorts.
Yes,
that is cool.
Yeah, man.
I like that.
Yeah, man. So wait, are you telling me you weren't even familiar with the cartoon that was out?
I've never watched the cartoon.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
And you know me, like anything that was like a little macabre, I was like, I'm looking in the other direction. Like,
what's Disney got going on?
Yeah, right. Like that guy's got purple eyes and green hair. No thanks. I'm over here.
Oh man. All right. So you have no idea what Beetlejuice is even about?
Kinda.
He's considered a bio-exorcist. So he was like hired help by dead people in the original film to scare out the people that bought their house, these rich New York stuffy snobs that bought out their house. And this couple wanted to scare them out of the house, so they asked Beetlejuice for help, and antics ensued.
I got that from the bits I've seen from the movie. Like I remember some of those things, but like recalling the whole film, it's just like one of those bits and pieces movies for me. Have they released anything about the plot of the new movie? Like
they've really just put out a minute and change teaser. Winona Ryder, Lydia, she has a daughter who is, God, what's her name? Wednesday from
Jenna Ortega.
The Addams Family. Yeah, Jenna Ortega. She is Lydia's daughter.
I feel like that is going to propel this into, like, people won't be able to ignore it because that girl's in it.
I know, she's just in everything now.
Whatever she's in just seems to, like, people just go nuts about.
I know.
I don't know if you liked Wednesday. I like watched 2 minutes. I was like, this is like not that
I
good.
tried. I know. I tried. I was not a fan.
I was like, I do not understand the hype. I'm not into this.
Yeah. I mean, I think the driving force is Michael Keaton reprising this role, this insane role that he took on. So it's the same way I felt with Ghostbusters, kind of, where I'm just like, oh yeah, Ghostbusters is coming back. Okay, like I'll see it. But I'm cautiously optimistic. So I'm here the same thing. I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't know. You know, I'm keeping one foot out the door. So we'll see. I'm definitely
gonna be safe.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna see it. What I am very excited about is the potential for toys. There's nothing so far. It's very dry as far as what could be released. So I'm really hoping that they do the same thing they did with Ghostbusters and they go back to the Kenner run of Beetlejuice figures and maybe they put some of those out. It was only a 2-series run. I mean, if they really get some momentum and this film's awesome, maybe they put a couple of figures out from, the first, second series, and then maybe, like we said before, start attacking the third series that was slated for release. And there's actually like prototypes out and stuff of the third series, and it's pretty well documented, like what was going to be released. So that'd be neat to like get some, figures that were not released.
Do you know anything about like who could pick up the license or who would be likely to grab that and do some of that stuff?
It was a Kenner property, just like the real Ghostbusters. So I believe Hasbro is still holding on to the Kenner property. So I'm almost positive Hasbro is still the license holder. So they could just put out, if they have the molds still, they could just, remake the Beetlejuice figures from back in the day. So I'm really hoping that they do that because I did go pretty heavy in this line as a kid. And actually, I still just about have a complete run of figures to this day. It'd be cool to see this stuff back on the shelves.
I will throw out there, in my personal collection, I do have a Beetlejuice minifig that had been released in the Dimensions line.
That's right.
So I got some juice in my life, man.
Yeah, dude. The juice is loose, man. That's great. So I did link to the original run of Beetlejuice figures. I don't know if you clicked on that yet.
Yeah, I'm looking at them.
This was cool. I loved the movie growing up. Quick aside, this came out when my parents, I wasn't alive when this came out, but my parents went to go see it in the theater. And this is, I think, on record, the only film that my parents have actually walked out of in the movie theater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You haven't seen the film, but for those who've seen it, it got to the point where they were all standing up at the dinner table singing, and then the shrimp cocktail attacked them, and my mom was like, "We need to leave. I'm done with this." So eventually, when I got a little bit old, I was born and then I got a little bit older, I think I saw like something on TV where I was like, "What's this?" And my mom was like, "Oh, Beetlejuice. Oh, you'll probably love it." So, and I did. I loved it. So these toys were kind of before my time, but I was eventually able to pick them up like at flea markets and stuff. The line is insane. Like it's crazy because it's such a weird property to like get behind and make kids toys for. The subject matter is, it's macabre. Like it's weird. It's dealing a lot with death and the afterlife. So they kind of make this out to be like, oh, like Beetlejuice is like, kind of like an anti-hero running around scaring stuffy adults. Like that was basically what they had to go off of. So the result is like different iterations of Beetlejuice and different action features of just like his head raising, his head spinning, and then there's like a couple of action figures of like just regular people that he scares into submission. So it's a very, very weird toy line. So I would love for it to just be relevant again and just be on toy shelves in like Target and Walmart when I walk in there. To like see that stuff again would be awesome. So
that would be very cool.
extraordinary, exceptional X-Men. Wolverine's got a tiger twist, stripes, and spring-out claws. The Iceman comes on his ice board with color change icicles. Sabretooth's equipped with wounds that heal easily, an extra slashing claw, and glow-in-the-dark eyes and mouth. Here's Forge with his quick-draw gun action. Look out! And Mr. Sinister with his light-up chest. These aren't ordinary men. They're X-Men! X-Men figures, each sold separately from Toy Biz.
Dude. X-Men 97, man. How could we not be talking about this? And I'm doing the same thing. I'm bringing some toys on here, but it is an excuse to talk about the show. Because, dude, that theme song is just ripping through my brain lately. All right, before we get too far, where are you at with X-Men slash this version of X-Men?
Yeah, I don't want to like totally disappoint you. X-Men was like it was definitely in my childhood, but I mean I saw the show some, but I know you went on a run with this and you've seen like the whole show, which I cannot say I've done that. So, I mean, X-Men are cool. I've seen the movies. I like X-Men, but and I had some of the toys, so
I'll kind of get into currently, but I was a big fan of the show when it was on. It was something that me and my brother bonded over because he was a huge X-Men fan, like had the comics and when he was just like, yo, we're watching this show and he had it on, I was just like, this is awesome. Just like that ripping theme song. We had the Sega game, which was like my favorite Sega game ever. So just like so much love for this property. And then when I heard like they're bringing it back, like that version, I was just like, yes, just like yes, like that's gonna be so good. And I typically hate superhero stuff. Not hate, but like I'm just like, nah, it's lame. Like I'm so not into it, especially when it gets like multi-dimensional and all that stuff. I'm like, I need to check out. X-Men is so guilty of that as well, but I just, for whatever reason, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I love the core concept. I love, like, he bends metal. He's got this, like, crazy eye beam that he shoots out of his face. Like, it's just good. And most of the backstory I love is just, like, mutant relations and, like, yeah, what if there were these superheroes and they're just, like, replacing humans, essentially? Like, there would be, like, this same turmoil. Like, humans would be like, nah, we're gonna, like, try to kill them all kind of thing. So it's... The villain is really just like people mostly, which I like.
I feel like maybe I'm not speaking for both of us, but we don't really have context of like comic book knowledge. I know you're not really a comic book reader.
Right.
So for me, it's just sort of like, oh, I'm kind of like missing out on a whole other experience with these kind of lines.
It's funny you say that because when I was into this as a kid, I was just like, oh yeah, well, Gambit's my favorite or whatever. And my brother, like, he was just so knowledgeable because he had read all the comics. He's like, well, actually, when this happened, and he was just like kind of throw it in my face. Like, you don't know X-Men, like, get out of my face. Like he had like almost every issue of it. But I did want to talk about mostly I want to talk about these figures for a second. So Hasbro's putting out figures. I'm sure they're going to do like a ton of these, but based off of X-Men 97, I'll just get to it. They look good. I like them a lot. I obviously, like, I'm a big fan of just this look and style of the X-Men. And it's like great articulation, like they look good. We are not a big action figure house. Like we barely have any action figures. And that's like mostly because I didn't have any as a kid, but I'm probably going to pick some of these up, man. Like I'm trying to get, yeah, dude. I'm trying to get my son into watching the show a little bit. It's a little probably too dark and scary for him at this point because he's not even 4. And some of the stuff they hit on, I'm just like, this is gonna creep him out. Like Sinister. I'm like, Sinister is so creepy. It's gonna like totally. But some of the episodes, I'm like, you could watch this. It's like a pretty sweet episode. I want to tell one thing that's gonna make you so happy, and then I want to ask you if you're catching any of the latest show. The one thing I'll say is, you mentioned that I watched the whole series. I have the series on DVD. I have the whole 4-part, 4 seasons. I have it on DVD. I still have it. It's available to watch on Disney Plus, I'm pretty sure, but it's one of those where I'm like, I'm just gonna hang on to this. You never know what
that warms my heart.
It's gonna, yeah, I know that would. But are you jumping into the show at all? You have any plans to watch it?
I mean, I hadn't really, not at this moment, but I mean, it's cool that it's a continuation, right? That's my understanding from.
Oh yeah.
So that's awesome, dude. Like that's exactly my cup of tea. So I really need to like go back and watch a good majority of the original run before I do this, but I mean, it's definitely interesting. I'm into it.
So I'll get into the show a little bit and just talk about some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like. I mean, off the bat, they just like same intro. They've updated it slightly. Like there's little little things that you can notice that are a little different, but it is just like that ripping song, and you're just like, yes, like I'm just back in it. Like, just bring me there. And it's like you said, like continuation. I'm like, I'm all about that. Like, yes, it's just like more storyline, and it gets interesting. Like, so Charles, I'll give you a little bit. It's not spoilery. Charles Xavier dies, you know, at the end of that series, and then his last will and testament leaves the X-Men to Magneto, kind of like a weird twist. And like Cyclops is kind of like, oh, I thought the team was going to be mine, so he's dealing with that, and then Magneto's there, and he's like trying to be better. He's trying to like walk in the footsteps of Charles because he misses his best friend, basically. So there's like some good human elements in there I like. Some parts of the show get like draggy, and I'm just like, what are they doing here? Like, stop with some of this stuff. But I know it's some of it's just fan service, and people are like, yes, we're just like getting this moment, and oh, I just wanted this forever. And, people are just like dripping for it. But it's all around pretty good. I'm into it. I've been reading articles, and everybody's like, yeah, this is like really good, and everything just comes back to like they're just up in Cyclops as much as they can, because he was always to me like kind of one of the lamer X-Men. I was just like,
oh yeah,
I was just like,
never was a fan.
Yeah, like no, like he was always like, yeah, he's just like the goody two shoes. He's the leader. Like nobody, it's like Leonardo from Team. It's like nobody likes the leader.
Let's do this by the book.
Yeah, he's totally that guy. But from the very beginning, they're just like his powers are like upped. Like he's doing way more. Like his whole first like introduction sequence into this series is just like so badass. I'm just like, I have so much more love for that character now. Like he's way cooler and what they're doing with him. So
right.
That's a big positive. I like what they're doing with Magneto. You'll notice here that Nightcrawler is in this wave. He hasn't hit the show yet, but I'm just like, give me Nightcrawler, man. He is my absolute favorite X-Men. Yeah, I'm just like, I need more of that dude. Every episode, I'm like, is he coming? Like, is he going to be here? And I'm just like dripping. And I saw these, and I was just like, oh yes, well he's in the first wave. Like that bodes so well for him getting into the first season, because I imagine they're just going to milk this as long as they can. So I'm pretty stoked, dude. I'm pretty stoked on this.
It's crazy. You're just looking at Marvel Legends, man. That's something I would never have expected. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, man. Were you a player of any of the Genesis games?
No, definitely not Genesis. Was the Genesis a beat 'em up?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, didn't it like mirror like the arcade version?
Not. There was much smaller. Like there was the arcade version, which is like that's a great solid game. Like one of my favorite arcade games, and that's a straight beat 'em up, like a 4-person beat 'em up. I guess it was like a scaled down version of that for the Genesis. It was you could be 4 characters, and it was like one of the first games I played where you could like kind of pick your character at the beginning, and I was just like, that's cool. So you could be either Nightcrawler, Gambit, Cyclops, or Wolverine. And it's hard. I've never beaten that game. The first one, it is hard. Like you get past the first like section of it, and you're like, and they just up the ante, and it's just torture. And then they released the second one that just adds like Beast and who else is that? Like Psylocke. I forget. They added a few more to that one, and I played that one less, but that was the game I was coveted. Like I would rent that game a lot, and I always wanted to own it, but for whatever reason I never did. But yeah, dude. Oh man, those games are just so good. And they nod to it in the latest episode. It's called Motendo. And it's a very bizarre, weird episode, but they essentially like Jubilee gets like sent into a video game, and it's like just playing on those nostalgia vibes of like the arcade game and the Genesis game. Like the cartridge they show in the show looks identical to the Genesis cartridge, and I'm just like, yes, dude. And everything I was reading about, people were like, I just want to play this game. Like, just give me this Jubilee game that they made for the show. It is good.
So I want to explain for people that are not X-Men fans but are still listening to this. My experience with this back in the day was heavily in KB toy stores. You'd go into those like dig bins that they have like at the front of the store of just like all these action figures that were on clearance. It would just be littered with X-Men that were just like not popular. Just
like Forge.
Just tons of them. That's really how, because my mom would be like, oh yeah, which one do you want? And I'd hold up one, and she'd be like, well, you can get like 5 of them for $1. Just like pick a couple more of them. So that is like kind of how I was like introduced. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to like learn more about that character. Like I want to watch the show and see these characters. So that's kind of where I was at with X-Men. It was sort of like toy first and then cartoon later.
Yeah, we had a few, like my brother had some of the action figures, like he had Cable, and I'm pretty sure he had Forge as well, and I was just like, these guys aren't in the game or the show, like these are second rate, and my brother's like, they're the best, like from the comic books, they're the greatest, and like he was just like so hardcore about it. But yeah, man, I'm trying to think of like just taking a step back from X-Men, like I just feel like they were like, yes, they nailed this perfectly. Like, what a good nostalgia vibe. I totally applaud this as cheap as it was to just be like, you like that show, you like that ripping theme song, like yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm trying to think of another property that they could do this to, where I'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm all in. Like, I mean, I go back to some of the stuff like Nicktoons we watched as a kid and some of that stuff. I'm like, that'd be pretty sweet if they brought like Rocco back, which I guess they kind of did like a couple years ago, but even just something like that, where it's just like, I'm just watching like new episodes of Rocco or new episodes of, you know, whatever it is. Like, I'd just be so down for that stuff.
That'd be tight.
I'll start it off and then you give the sweet harmony. Ready? Collection updates.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. That sounds so good.
Yeah, right. All right, why don't you kick us off here? What we got?
All right, dude. Collection updates, man. We are at the point with our 3-year-old where we are going into the Berenstain Bears. Horde. We are hard into the Berenstain Bears, dude.
Nice.
He is loving them, it's great because I loved the Berenstain Bears growing up. Had a huge stack of books. That was like my go-to. That was like part of the bedtime routine. It was like get all changed, brushed, and then we sit on mom and dad's bed and I pick out like 1 or 2 Berenstain Bears books. So it's really cool because my sister came down for a visit a few months ago, and she brought with her the Berenstain Bears books from our childhood that I didn't even know she
nice.
still had. I was like, yes, awesome, great. Yeah, we're going through these books. He's constantly wanting to read them, which is awesome because they still kind of hold up. A lot of them are like dated in some areas, but it's still cool to like read them. Where are you at with Berenstain Bears? Do your boys read them at all?
Yeah, they read a couple. They're not like the favorites or anything like that, but like, oh dude, like Case of the Gimmies, or like, you know, Brother Bear gets scared on stage fright. Oh yeah, dude. Some of those are just like classics that you gotta go back to.
The Gimmies. I don't know how many times I've read that book in the past year. The Gimmies. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, that is a fan favorite here in this household. But yes, so he's been super into that. And then it was really cool. I had no idea that my sister still had this stuff because her kids are all grown out of it now. She actually brought with her the Treehouse playset that got released. So for those of you that don't know, I shared the link if you want to take a look at it. I think you have to scroll down a little bit to see the Treehouse playsets that I'm talking about. But yeah, they released like this cardboard playset where you sort of like fold it out and put a couple of pieces down, and it looks like a pop-up book, like 3D diorama of the Bears Treehouse. And what they have to accompany that, what came with the set, were these McDonald's premiums that came out a few years earlier. So this product was put out by Random House. I have no idea. I'm sure they're not still around, but yeah, they were able to put the McDonald's toys in the sets. So that's what I had growing up. And my sister actually brought that down with her, and I was just like, man, I had no idea you still had this. She was like, yep, it's pretty worn, which it was. It was beaten to hell, but it was still just like there. And I'm just like, wow, I remember this so vividly. I'm just like setting this up and playing with it. It was not complete, sad to say, but there were some missing pieces. Nothing integral, but noticeable. So if you're looking at the front cover, you can see, you know, the treehouse, the bridge, the trees. the four bears, and each of the four bears, they have an accessory that they come with. Papa Bear has a wheelbarrow, Mama Bear has a shopping cart, Sister Bear has a wagon, and Brother Bear has this scooter. Well, growing up, I remember we got this set, and it came with Brother Bear's green scooter, but the handlebars were missing. I remember that. It was so vividly. I was just like, what's going on? Why don't we have that piece? And my mom was like, it's missing. They didn't include it. We don't have that.
It's just missing.
It doesn't
top.
exist. And I just remember my mind couldn't comprehend that. Dad, can't you make this? And my dad's like, what are you talking about? I can't make it. So all my life, I just had that like little green platform with red wheels. It felt so incomplete. So my sister brought it down, and I open it up, and the scooter's not even there. It's just Brother Bear, and everybody else has their accessories. Unfortunately, Papa Bear's head and Sister Bear's head keep falling off, but, that's another story. But, yeah, the scooter wasn't there, so Carter's doing the exact same thing. He's looking at the box. He's like, well, where's the scooter? Where's that? Like, it's not here. I'm like, I don't have a good answer for you, dude.
You're telling me, dude. Go talk to grandmom.
So, I went on the bay, and just started looking around, and fortunately these are pretty easy to come by. The McDonald's premiums. This Treehouse is somewhat rare, but the McDonald's premiums are easy to pick up. So I actually picked up a replacement and righted, about 30 years of wronged history, and got that Brother Bear with his scooter. So Carter has that,
hear, man.
And he enjoys it. I mean, it's fun to like set this up and see it, but in terms of play value, it's just like, it's a pain because, it's cardboard, it's vintage. You don't want to handle it too much because I don't want to ruin it because, but like he'll play with it, and he'll play with it gently, but he'll set it up and play with it for maybe 4 minutes, and then it's out, and you have to break it down. You can't just let it sit out there because then the baby's going to, get at it, or it's going to get stepped on. So it's been funny / stressful to play with this stuff.
Oh man, I hear you. I'm glad you righted that wrong and, close that cycle out on Brother Bear.
Yeah, man.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, I felt like I had to mention it here,
That's a good update. I like that update.
But yeah.
The old bears.
But yeah, man, he is obsessed with the Berenstain Bears, so sometimes for a treat, it's like, there are only a couple of bucks on Amazon. I'll scroll through the phone and be like, okay, buddy, like, which one of these books do you want this week? He'll like think long and hard about it and be like, this one, that's the one I want. I'm just like, all right, we'll get that one. We'll get the one where Sister Bear is biting her nails.
That's so awesome, man. That's a good lead into my update because it's all about stuff my sons are into currently, just being added to the collection. Easter just happened here, and we got a ton of stuff, and I was strategically like, all right, here's a big set we need. Here's a big set that we need in this line. So three different lines here. We're talking Brio, which we've been talking about a little bit, Duplo, and then a little different, Matchbox Skybusters, dude. So I wanted to talk these Skybusters for a second. It's Matchbox, it's planes. This is not stuff I was into as a kid. Not even, like, I'm not big into planes. Like, I know people love planes, but my youngest really likes planes for whatever reason. Like, my oldest didn't, or he just wasn't really exposed, but my youngest, like, loves just getting a little airplane or helicopter and just kind of flying it through the air and making noises and going like, whoosh, it's like, it's adorable. Like, it's so cute. So I was like, he's getting some of these. I got what I linked to is like this series that I bought them. Just like, random planes. There's like an Indiana Jones one in there, a couple of them that I thought were kind of interesting. SpaceX was in there. But I was just like, it's just like a cool smattering of just like planes. Were you big into planes at all?
No. I think I've said it on this cast before. That is like the one thing I did not like in toy lines. I would always kind of avoid like any sort of flight like vehicles, because I feel like with ground vehicles, it was like you get satisfaction of like driving it on the ground, the wheels are moving, so there's like some satisfaction there. With planes, it's like you're sort of like, miming it almost, like you have to hold it up and mime the flight, and it's like, oh yeah, it's flying. I'm like, I never really liked that as a kid.
It's funny you say that. Like, now that we have them, no, they're not really getting played with. So I'm just like, I'm probably not going to continue down this road. Like, we've got enough planes to last us the rest of our play years.
When I saw that though, I like the Indiana Jones ones, dude. Those are pretty sweet. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we went to Disney recently, and my son loved that show at Disney World.
Oh, nice.
The Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and I was like, I'll put this in there, see if he like says anything about it. He's like, this is Indiana Jones. Like, he was all excited about it. I was like, I probably have to like watch that movie at some point.
Nice, dude.
He's pretty into that. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to just quickly say the one plane you have, like the little puddle jumper plane, I don't know what it's called, but it's the one that Indiana Jones makes his first initial getaway in Raiders of the Lost Ark. The little calling code on the side of it, the OB-CPO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a call out that George Lucas put in there. That is a reference to Obi-Wan and C-3PO. Thought you'd like that.
Nice. I knew there were a couple notes in there, or homages to Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So I didn't know about that one. That's a cool one.
There you go.
Good stuff, dude. So that that was in there with a mixture of other just Easter junk that we got. But dude, these next two, we got a Brio train set. We forked out some money for this boy. This one Brio train set. And I'd say we kind of got our value. The kids were excited to open it on Easter and get involved with it. It hasn't been played with too much since we've gotten it, so I'm just like, I don't know. Brio's just not kind of hanging with what the other thing that we got, which I didn't link to, but we talked about it last time, which is the big Duplo train set, the cargo train with another bridge. They just got that this week from my parents. Dude, we have been just building trains for the past couple days, even more so than lately, but that's getting a lot of use. And just like, we were so scared of just running out of track every time we built, and now it's just like, we got too much track, we don't know what to do with it all, man. It's like,
oh man,
we're just overloaded with tracks. So
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it was good Easter, good additions. We got plenty of junk, as I said, that I just need to slowly get rid of. I think I'm in this spot now where I'm just like, I've kind of like just stopped tidying the toys. I'm just like, if we're gonna have this much stuff, I'm just kind of let it like fester and grow and just get gross a little bit, like, I'm done. You know this about me. I'm just so like clean and just like everything needs its place and order, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna let it like go to ruin. And I think my wife's finally like, maybe we should get rid of some of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you think? Like, we too much just like dollar store. She just goes nuts at the dollar store and just buys like junk, and I'm like, and then they love it, and I can't get rid of it. And I'm just like, I just don't want, like, it's not forever. You know what I mean? It's not forever toys. It's not stuff you're gonna hang on to and they're gonna go back to with their kids. It's just junk. So that's where we're at with the collection. It's just stuff for my sons, and it's the right stuff, making sure the right stuff comes in the house.
And that's what it's all about, man. The right stuff.
The right stuff. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. If you'd like to stay up to date on all things Toy Talk, guys, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're pushing out some of that content now. Just search for the Toy Talk, guys. Please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts if you can, and don't be afraid to tell a friend about the show. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you guys again next time.
Talk.